हेलो हाय एंड वेलकम बैक टू द वीडियो सीरीज लेक्चर। इस वीडियो में हम बात करने वाले हैं हाउ टू कवर अ प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस। सो लेट अस स्टार्ट बाय स्टडीइंग सम inputs about covering a press conference. A press conference is held when someone wants to send something to the media. This is where journalists are free to ask any questions. A press conference are gathered in order to hold an event where TV cameras and newspaper reporters show up. So spend 5 minutes in the news business and you will be asked to cover a press conference. They are regular occurrence in the life of any reporter. You need to be able to cover them and cover them all from the point of beginning till the point of ending, like question and answer rounds. So press conferences tend to move quickly and often don't last very long, so you may have a very little time to get the information you need. Write it, record it, click the photos, and you have to do a very multitasking uh, activities. So be sure and be quick about all these things and practice a lot. But for the beginner, a press conference can be tough to cover. So here are 6 tips for covering them all. Number 1, come armed with questions. Know what is about, know about the events. Be prepared with your questions and questionnaires. Ask your best questions. Be aggressive if necessary. Don't be intimidated. Press the speaker and try to get the answer from the speaker directly. Forget the PR speak, focus on the news. So these are the 6 tips being a journalist you need to keep in your mind. So come on with questions. As we said, press conferences move quickly, so you'll need to have your questions ready ahead of the time. Arrive with some questions already prepared. Ask your best questions. Once the speaker starts taking questions, it's often a free-for-all with multiple reporters shouting out their queries. You may only get 1 or 2 of your questions into the mix, so pick your best one and ask those. Be aggressive if necessary. Anytime you get a bunch of reporters in one room all asking questions at the same time, it's bound to be a crazy scene, and reporters are by their nature competitive people. So when you go to a press conference, be prepared to be a bit pushy in order to get your question answered. Shout if you need to. Push your way to the front of the room if you must. Above all, remember, only the strong survive at a press conference. So in this way, you can ask your question very aggressively and be in the news. Uh, Forget the PR speak, focus on the news. So if it's a reporter's job to ignore the PR talk, the public relation talk, and get to the truth of the matter. So if the CEO announces that his company has just suffered its worst losses ever, but in the next speech say he thinks the future is bright, forget about the bright future. The real news is the huge losses, not the PR's sugarcoating. Then press the speaker. Don't let the speakers at a press conference get away with making broad generalizations that are not supported by fact. Questions the basis for the statement they make and get specifics. Likewise, if that CEO whose company has just lost billion says he's upbeat about the future, ask him why. How can he expect that things will get better when the company is clearly in trouble? Again, get him to be specific. Don't be intimidated whether you are covering a press conference with the mayor, the governor, or the president. Don't let yourself be intimidated by their power or stature. That's what they want. Once you are intimidated, you will stop asking tough questions, and remember, it's your job to ask tough questions of the most powerful people in our society. So be a bold and be a dareful person and journalist. Joint press conferences instead is held between 2 or more talking sides. A good example is when 2 people are running for the president post. In news conference, 1 or more speaker may make a statement which may be followed by question from reporter. Sometimes only questioning occurs, sometimes there is a statement with no questions permitted. So be ready if there is no permission for questions permitted. Do not waste or spend your time in preparing questionnaires. Just focus on gathering the news and information. Choose goals you want to achieve before you plan a press conference. You should have a clear idea of what you want to achieve. Being clear about your goals will make you focus on what you want to say, and you will say it. So choose your goal, select your goal, and decide what thing you need to achieve and about what question you need to get an answer. That's your achievement being a journalist. Here are some ideas to get publicity about your problems and efforts, to send a message to decision maker about what you want, to develop the skill of your members, to get more people involved in your organization, to show the strength of your groups. Decisions, decisions, decision. In a press conference, you decide what information is presented, how it is presented, and who presents it. So please join us for an Android press gathering. With the launch of the first Android powered device just over a year ago, we have seen how powerful open platform can spur mobile product innovation. And this is just the beginning of what's possible. Please join us in Mountain View on January 5 for an Android press gathering. Google. So you need to decide the information, how it is presented, and what are the things, who has presented the information, and accordingly you need to prepare. So you want it, you do it. In order to hold a press conference, you are the one who contacts the media and chooses a time, place. So success or failure, you need to talk about it. Setting the right time. Set the date and time of the press conference, taking into account reporters' deadline. Usually the best day of the week to get news coverage are Tuesdays through Thursday. Check to see that there are no competing news events already scheduled at the time of your conferences. So if you are conducting or if you are holding a press conference, you need to think and you need to keep in mind such important factual things. Invite the media if you are holding a press conference. Send a press conference advisory to the appropriate local media outlet at least a week before the press conference. Follow up with a phone call 2 days before the press conference to make sure that everyone received the advisory. Call them the day before to remind them about the event. Invite guests, make phone calls, send in written invitations to prospective guests you want to have at the press conference, such as other members of your group, allies, and friendly politicians. Prepare a spokesperson. If you are holding a press conference, you need to have a spokesperson, and that spokesperson need to be very strong. So to deliver your messages, generally it's good to have just one or two speakers during press conference so people don't talk on top of each other. Choose a moderator or facilitator. You will need a person to control the process and keep reporters on the subject. If someone goes off the subject, the moderator can return to the focus by saying such thing as, that's an interesting point, but we are here to discuss so and so, so and so, so and so thing. Prepare background materials. Reporters and guests may also wish to have a copy of written statement or press release. You can prepare a packet of fact sheet, charts, or graph to provide to your journalist or reporters or the media person. Practice roles with the member of your group. It's important that everybody understands his or her role in the event. Think about what will happen all the way through the paper conferences and how it will look to reporters. The question is to ask what if. Prepare your visual aids, charts, big maps, picture or other props. It will help to get your messages across. However, slideshows are difficult for TV and radios and print reporters to use. How to react when things go wrong at a press conference? Hope for the best and prepare for the worst. That's a great advice to keep in mind. If you are in charge of an organizing and running a press event, here are some things that might go wrong and how you can prepare for them. If you hold enough press conferences, sooner or later something will go wrong and you will be forced to react. When things goes wrong, don't go with them, Elvis Presley says. But what you do next is not nearly as important as what you did before the press conference began. Why? Because the best time to address a press conference problem is before the event takes place. So with that in mind, here are 5 common press conference disasters you will need to be prepared to handle. And whatever you do before the press conference is a matter of importance, because preparation is more important than possibly solving the problems and queries. So when just 2 reporters show up, you need to have a problem. When your spokesperson calls in sick, that's a problem. When your AV resources fail, that is an audio visual resources fail, that's a problem. When circumstances suddenly change, that's a problem. When your spokesperson is caught off guard, that's a problem. So when just 2 reporters show up, it's probably an indication that the subject of your press conference really is not worthy. Take your lumps this time, but next time make sure you have something that's more capable of drawing a crowd. It's possible that person you designate to be your spokesperson won't be capable of performing that role on the day of the event. That's why it's important to have one or two backups. You had a beautiful PowerPoint presentation prepared for reporters, but 5 minutes before the press conference, the projector broke. Now what? Audiovisual announcements are great, but you should also provide hard copies of presentations to attendees. So let's say you have called a press conference to announce a major partnership with pharma competitions. Before the press conference takes place, your new partner suddenly pulls out the deal. You should still go through with the press conference maybe, but it depends on whether or not you have planned for contingencies. So be ready with all the points and the contingencies and discrepancies. Notice how we said when not, if your spokesperson is caught off guard. Eventually a reporter is going to ask a question that your spokesperson either can't or won't answer. Her response will be dictated by how well she has been or he has been prepared for the question and answer section of the event. In general, honestly, it is usually the best policy. So I'll get back to you, or I can't answer that question, are acceptable responses for the most reporters. So thank you so much. In this way, being a journalist, you can cover the reporter, and being a person conducting a press conference, you need to think, you need to keep in mind that such things are there, and you need to be prepared all the time, whether you are a journalist or holding a press conferences. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.